Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal. The UEFA Champions League final. The biggest night in club football. And honestly, this feels bigger than just a football match. For PSG, this is about proving that years of investment, pressure, heartbreak, and obsession with Europe were all worth it. For Arsenal, this is about completing one of the greatest rebuilds modern football has seen. One team is chasing validation. The other is chasing immortality. And the scary part, both teams actually have the tactical weapons to completely destroy the other. This is speed versus control, chaos versus structure, explosiveness versus intelligence. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this final could be decided by one specific area on the pitch. Recent form analysis. PSG's recent form. PSG are arriving into this final looking ruthless. Their attack has been devastating over the last few weeks. They've been scoring early, overwhelming teams with pressure and punishing mistakes almost instantly. But what's different about this PSG side compared to previous years is discipline. They look calmer, more mature, less emotional when games become difficult. And psychologically, that matters massively in finals. Because historically, PSG teams have sometimes collapsed under pressure once momentum swings against them. This version feels more controlled. Defensively, they're pressing with better organization. Their midfield is recovering possession faster, and their transitions are frighteningly quick. But there's still one vulnerability. When opponents bypass PSG's first press and attack centrally at speed, their defensive structure can suddenly become exposed. And Arsenal specialize in exploiting exactly those spaces. Arsenal's recent form. Now Arsenal. This team arrives with belief. Real belief. They've developed into one of Europe's most tactically intelligent teams, especially in possession. Over the last few matches, Arsenal have controlled games through midfield dominance, aggressive pressing, and positional rotations that completely disorganize opponents. But more importantly, this team no longer panics. A few seasons ago, conceding first would mentally destroy Arsenal. Now, they trust the system. They stay calm. And in Champions League finals, emotional control is everything. Still, there's danger. Arsenal's aggressive attacking shape sometimes leaves space behind the fullbacks. And against PSG's pace and transition, that can become suicidal. PSG tactical analysis. PSG structure. Luis Enrique has transformed PSG into a far more balanced tactical machine. They'll likely line up in a fluid 4-3-3, but the real danger comes from how aggressively they rotate positions in possession. The fullbacks push high. The midfielders drift into half spaces. And the front three constantly interchange. This movement creates confusion, especially against defensive lines that lose concentration for even a second. Main attacking threat. PSG's biggest weapon is vertical transition speed. The moment they recover possession, they attack instantly. No hesitation. And players like Ousmane Dembélé and Kvaratskhelia are absolutely lethal when attacking open space. If Arsenal lose the ball with numbers committed forward, PSG can reach the penalty area in seconds. That is terrifying in a final. Pressing patterns. Another major detail is PSG's pressing triggers. Whenever Arsenal attempt risky build-up passes through midfield, PSG will press aggressively with numbers. Their goal will be simple. Force Arsenal into mistakes close to goal. And if PSG score first, the entire tactical dynamic changes. Because then Arsenal are forced to chase the game, which creates even more transition spaces. PSG weaknesses. But PSG are not invincible. If Arsenal dominate midfield circulation and force PSG's midfielders into defensive running for long periods, spaces begin to appear between the lines. That's where Arsenal become dangerous. And honestly, that midfield zone might decide the entire final. Arsenal tactical analysis. Arsenal's playing style. Mikel Arteta has built one of the most structured possession systems in Europe. Arsenal don't just keep the ball for entertainment. They use possession as a weapon. They move opponents, manipulate pressing traps, and create overloads through intelligent positioning. This is chess football. And when Arsenal establish rhythm, they can mentally exhaust teams. Midfield control. The movement of Martin Ødegaard and Declan Rice will be absolutely crucial. Ødegaard controls tempo, creates overloads, and constantly searches for spaces between defensive lines. Rice brings power, ball recovery, and defensive balance. Together, they allow Arsenal to dominate territory. And if PSG fail to disrupt Arsenal's build-up early, Arsenal could slowly suffocate the game. Wide areas. Bukayo Saka against PSG's left side could become one of the defining battles of the final. Because Arsenal love isolating defenders 1 versus 1 before attacking the box through cutbacks and quick combinations. And if Saka finds rhythm early, PSG could have serious problems defensively. Arsenal weaknesses. But Arsenal's biggest danger remains transition defense. Sometimes during dominant spells, they commit too many players forward. Against most teams, that's manageable. Against PSG, one mistake can end the match instantly. Key player battles. Ousmane Dembélé versus William Saliba. This battle could become pure chaos. Dembélé's unpredictability is terrifying because defenders never know which direction he's going next. He can go left, right, shoot, cross, accelerate instantly. But William Saliba has been one of Europe's most composed defenders under pressure. His positioning, timing, and recovery speed are elite. If Saliba wins this duel consistently, Arsenal gain control. If Dembélé isolates him repeatedly in transition, PSG could tear Arsenal apart. Bukayo Saka versus Nuno Mendes. This is another massive battle. Saka loves cutting inside onto his stronger foot, combining quickly and drawing defenders out of shape. But Nuno Mendes is aggressive, athletic, and fearless going forward. The problem: if Mendes pushes too high and loses possession, Saka could attack the space behind him repeatedly. And that could become a huge tactical weakness for PSG. Martin Ødegaard versus Vitinha. This might quietly become the most important battle in the entire final. Ødegaard wants control. Vitinha wants disruption. Ødegaard will try to dictate rhythm, manipulate pressing angles, and create passing lanes through midfield. Vitinha's job is to break that rhythm. Whoever controls this midfield duel could completely control the flow of the game. And trust me, finals are often decided in exactly these moments. Declan Rice versus PSG's midfield transition. Rice may genuinely be Arsenal's most important player in this match, because his positioning during defensive transitions could determine whether Arsenal survive PSG's counterattacks. His awareness, his interceptions, his physicality. Without Rice controlling central spaces, Arsenal could become extremely vulnerable. The managers, Luis Enrique versus Mikel Arteta. This tactical battle is absolutely fascinating. Luis Enrique believes in aggressive positional football, vertical attacks, and relentless pressure. Mikel Arteta believes in structure, control, manipulation of space, and calculated build-up. Both managers are obsessive tacticians. Both constantly adjust during games. And honestly, the first major tactical substitution could completely change the final. One brave decision from either manager could decide who lifts the trophy. Hidden factors: pressure and mentality. PSG carry enormous emotional pressure into this final. Every Champions League campaign is judged by one thing: did they win Europe? That pressure can create greatness or panic. Meanwhile, Arsenal may actually benefit psychologically from having slightly less external pressure. They can play freer. And dangerous teams become even more dangerous when fearless. Fatigue. Another hidden factor is intensity late in the game. Both teams rely heavily on pressing and aggressive movement. But whoever loses compactness first could collapse physically in the final stages. Watch the final 20 minutes carefully. That's where chaos usually begins in Champions League finals. Momentum swings. And remember this: finals are emotional roller coasters. One goal changes everything. One mistake changes history. The team that mentally survives those momentum swings usually becomes champion. Match prediction. All right. Prediction time. And honestly, this feels unbelievably close. I expect PSG to start aggressively with high pressing and fast attacking transitions. Arsenal will probably try to slow the game down through possession and midfield control. The biggest tactical question is this: can Arsenal survive PSG's transitions without exposing space behind their defensive line? Because if they can, Arsenal absolutely have the midfield quality to dominate long periods of this game. But PSG's attacking explosiveness feel slightly more dangerous in decisive moments, especially in open situations. So my final prediction is PSG 2-1 Arsenal. I think Arsenal will control more possession, but PSG's speed, directness, and ability to punish transitions could ultimately decide the final. And honestly, this has all the ingredients of a Champions League classic. In conclusion, this final feels like more than just a football match. It feels like destiny colliding with pressure. One club trying to justify an entire era of investment. Another trying to announce the beginning of a new football dynasty. And somewhere inside all that tension, a single moment will decide history. Now I want to hear from you. Who wins the Champions League final? What's your score prediction? And which player do you think becomes the hero of the night? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you love deep tactical football analysis, emotional storytelling, and massive match breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications, because we've got huge football content coming all season long. This is what football is all about.